back to the West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Taylor. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my father, my producer, Mark Taylor. And this is our round 2 of the playoffs. This is our warm-up as we get ready for round 2.
All right, welcome back, everybody. What's ahead on this show is Games of the Week, round 2 brackets. Mason, it's getting exciting. We don't have all 9 games in this week, but we will have some great games on Friday night. And, of course, Mason's matchups where he's going to give his predictions and previews for key players, keys to success. And then GBP Sports, Game of the Week, Lownes, Vikings, and North Gwinnett Bulldogs. Mason, do you like this matchup?
I do. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Lownes having to go all the way up to Gwinnett County to take on the North Gwinnett Bulldogs. Obviously, North Gwinnett made easy work in the first round. Lownes made easy work of Collins Hill as well. So both of these teams have an opportunity to go to the semifinals. These are semifinal caliber teams, so it'll be interesting seeing how they do against each other. But in my opinion, I think Northgate gets the win on the road. At home, it's just going to be too difficult for Lownes to go all the way up to North Gwinnett and get a victory on North Gwinnett's home turf.
Yeah, it's a long travel right there. But this Game of the Week is your Game of the Week, Central Lions against the Cambridge Bears.
Yeah, we saw this matchup last year. Same exact round. It'll be at the same exact place, and it's between the same exact teams. Now, obviously, these two teams are different than they were last year. Some might argue that Central's better than last year. Some might argue that Cambridge might not be as good as last year. But nonetheless, this is going to be one of the premier games in 4A as the winner likely takes on Benedictine in the second round.
Well, we're going to get all of your details on. Yep, we'll get all your details on this game. But this 9-2 record for Cambridge, is that any indicator that it's an easy win for Central?
No. Okay. Cambridge played a tough non-region schedule, played a tough region schedule. In their region includes teams like Blessed Trinity and Kell. I'm not too sure who those 2 losses were against. I'm going to assume it was Blessed Trinity and Kell. But it's 2 good losses. It was definitely not 2 upset losses. Cambridge has played tough opponents all season long. It's definitely a harder region than Central's have.
Fair enough there. Let's get into the bracket. So this week we're going to start off with 1A Division 2.
Yeah, Bowden, again, trying to go for that 4th state championship. Obviously, Washington Wilkes this week, if they win, they play either Schley County, who they beat a couple years ago in the state championship.
Say that one more time, Mason.
Schley
County.
Schley County, who they played in the state championship a couple years ago. That actually started that was actually their first state championship win of the 3. And then or they'll either play them or Jenkins County. So Bowden looks like it's going to be a pretty easy road to the semis. On the other hand, you have Mount Zion, who goes on the road to Early County. If they win, they'll play either Screven County or Carrollton County. It's going to be tough for Mount Zion from here on out. You know, that first round they made light work of Trutland, but from second round onward, it's going to be tough for Mount Zion.
All right, Mason. Then we go on to 1A Division 1.
Yeah, obviously this one, the only team we have in it is Heard County. Obviously, they're going to be playing Social Circle, who we just covered last week as they played Haralson County. Heard County, another team that not really going to have much of a problem until you get to that quarterfinals. Heard County, unless they make it to the state championship, are going to be at home in each and every round of the playoffs since they are the 1 seed. Obviously, if they make it to the quarterfinals, they'll play either Fitzgerald or Dublin, both very good teams. But Heard County, really, I think where it would get interesting, obviously, if they get to the semifinals, they're either going to be playing Northeast Macon, who lost in the state championship last year. They're either going to be playing them, Swainsboro, who's a good team, Thomasville, who obviously is a top 3 team there, or Toombs County, who won the state championship. So very tough left side of the bracket here in 1A Division 1, but they just got to get to that semifinal first before we get to that point.
Yep, I agree with you there. All right, and then we've got 4A.
Central obviously had an interesting game there with Tucker in round 1. Now they got to play Cambridge at home. If they make it to round 3 because of the coin flip, they would head to Savannah to take on Benedictine. That would be a tough one. So that's kind of how.
Better get your ticket early on that one.
What?
Better get your ticket early on that one.
Yeah, and that's a long ways to go if they get to that point. So, but Central's got to get past Cambridge first.
Yep, and then 5A.
Villa Rica going on the road to Thomasville, going all the way down to Thomas County Central. Obviously, I don't even want to act like Villa Rica is going to win this game. And I know it's no shade on Villa Rica.
Mason, no hope whatsoever.
It would be like if Bremen were to beat Buford.
You heard it here, folks.
It's just it's tough.
I say there's not much to say about that one. We'll move on to 6A. We have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, beat Harrison on Friday, then you got to host. You get to host either Colquitt County or Grayson. Obviously, Colquitt County would obviously be the easier choice.
But the key to that game, Mason, is what? The home field advantage.
Yeah, well, the home field advantage is obviously going to be key there. I think it would be more key if they played Colquitt County, because Colquitt County would have to go all the way from Moultrie all the way up to Carrollton. Obviously, Grayson only going all the way from Loganville, the Gwinnett County area, to Carrollton. Not much of a – I mean, you have a home field advantage, but it's not like a long, long trip or anything like that. But Grayson, Carrollton, really, it would be interesting to see how Grayson's defense does against our offense. I think that would be the matchup to watch out for. But obviously, Carrollton can't underestimate Harrison here on Friday. They got to get past that. If they get past Grayson, I think Carrollton obviously would win the state championship, because look who they'd play in the semifinal: Lownes, North Gwinnett, Hillgrove, or West Forsyth. I think they would make quick and easy work of any of those teams. And then in the state championship, we would see a rematch of last year's semifinal between Carrollton and Buford, most likely. And obviously, I think if we can beat Grayson, we can beat Buford. So, but again, Carrollton's just got to worry about Harrison first.
Between 1 and 10, what is Colquitt County's chance to beat Grayson?
I'd probably say about a 4.
Oof. All right, and let's get into this week's matchups.
Yeah, we'll start off with the Bowden Red Devils. They're going to be facing off against the Washington Wilkes Tigers on Friday in Dwight Hochstetler Stadium. Bowden looking to extend their current 6-game winning streak, and also looking to extend their 16-game playoff winning streak. Bowden's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday as they blew past Wilcox County 42-7. The Red Devils getting used to those big wins. They've won 8 of their 11 games by 20 or more points this season. Bowden's victory was a true team effort, with many players turning in solid performances, but perhaps the best among them was senior quarterback Joshua Hopkins, who threw for 208 yards and 4 touchdowns on only 15 passes, also rushed for 46 yards. He's been hot recently, having posted 4 or more passing touchdowns the last 3 times he's played. You also have 5-star senior wide receiver Caden Prothro, who was another key pass catcher, picking up 128 receiving yards and a pair of touchdowns. Caden Prothro, he's a couple touchdowns shy of the all-time record for most receiving touchdowns in a career in Georgia high school football. So Caden Prothro, obviously, among trying to win a state championship and every single year of high school, is obviously trying to break that record as well. Washington Wilkes, though, never got on the board in their matchup back in October, either on Halloween or on the 24th. I'm not too sure. But that was sure wasn't the case in their game against Seminole County last Friday. They came out on top against the Indians by a score of 32-23. Some would say that was an upset over Seminole County. I would say so. But Washington Wilkes, they found their leader in freshman quarterback Mason Mingle. He threw for 263 yards, 3 touchdowns, also rushed for 65 yards and a touchdown. And the Tigers' leading receiver was senior Sharik Meadows, who was his top target yet again, picking up 164 receiving yards and a touchdown. Their defense made their presence known. They laid out Seminole County junior quarterback Ellis Denham 6 times. Sophomore linebacker Caleb Norman was particularly dangerous to the passing game, picking up 3 sacks by himself. Washington Wilkes, they are coming into this game 5-6 on the year. Bowden, obviously, 9-2 on the year. And this matchup could be decided on the ground. Bowden's been excellent this year, just shy of 190 rushing yards per game. Washington Wilkes, though, they're averaging 155.5 rushing yards a game, so it's not like they're really struggling there in that department. So there's a good chance that this contest is going to be a fight on the ground. But when you have a guy like Caden Prothro, obviously that adds the element of trying to stop Joshua Hopkins from running, but also throwing, and that's his favorite target by far, so you got to be able to stop him as well. Bowden lost to Washington Wilkes on the road by a decisive 34-17 margin in their previous matchup back in the second round of 2020. Coach Finley, that was the only time he's coached against Washington Wilkes as a head coach. Bowden and Washington Wilkes, they've played against each other 5 times. Washington Wilkes has beat them 3 times. Bowden's only won twice. All of their meetings have been in the playoffs. I think the first meeting ever was in the semifinals back probably about 20 years ago in the early 2000s. So these two teams are somewhat familiar with each other all time. But with that being said, I think there's not a whole lot that Washington Wilkes can do here. They got lucky in the first round against Seminole County on the road. But you're going into Dwight Hochstetler Stadium. Bowden hasn't lost all year long at home. They're very good at home. The whole Bowden community comes out and supports the Red Devils every Friday that they're there. And even when they're on the road, Bowden's very experienced, not only in the playoffs, but as a team. They're well coached. They have great players. And again, there's just not a whole lot that Washington Wilkes is going to be able to do to come out there and get a win on the road against a 3-time state champion. So I think this is going to be a similar to last week when they played Wilcox County. And again, Bowden has a somewhat easy path to the semifinals in this year. That's why I have Bowden by 36 points here, 49-13. Again, I think Washington Wilkes might get in the end zone maybe a couple times later in the game, but Bowden's going to come out fast and then really never going to look back. They're probably going to get up there around 50 points, and as they cruise to their, I believe, 4th straight quarterfinal on the road to their 4th straight state championship.
Wow, that should be a good one. All right, and then Carrollton.
Yeah, Carrollton. The Carrollton Trojans will face off against the Harrison Hoyas on Friday in Grisham Stadium. Carrollton coming into the contest with an undefeated record on the line. Carrollton's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday as they breezed past North Forsyth to the tune of 58-17. The Trojans getting used to big wins as they've won all of their games but one by 22 points or more this season.
Yes, sir.
Senior running back Cameron Wood, who just committed to West Georgia, congratulations on that. He produced another solid performance. He rushed for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns on only 6 carries. His longest rush was for an impressive 67 yards, which helps to explain his lofty yards per carry total. Also, 3-star senior quarterback Mason Holtzclaw was another key player. He threw for 192 yards and a touchdown while completing 80% of his passes. On the other hand, though, you have Harrison, who last Friday was all tied up 21-21 at the half with Marietta, but luckily for them, it did not stay that way as they came out on top of Marietta by a score of 45-35. Harrison found their leader in sophomore quarterback Aiden Watson, who, get this, rushed for 188 yards and 6 touchdowns while picking up 10.4 yards per carry, and also threw for 221 yards on 17 of 24 attempts. Those 188 rushing yards set a new season high mark for Watson, and a healthy portion of Watson's aerial production, 120 yards to be exact, went to junior wide receiver DJ Huggins. So DJ Huggins, he, I believe, just got an offer by Clemson pretty recently. So he's I would say, starting to get heavily recruited receiver. Aiden Watson, obviously a very good mobile quarterback, dual threat guy. I mean, when you run for 6 touchdowns in a playoff game, or any game for that matter, and you throw for over 200 yards, that's impressive. So Aiden Watson might be trouble. But Carrollton, they sit at a record of 11-0. Harrison sits at a record of 10-1. Everything came up roses for Carrollton in their only meeting ever against Harrison back in the first round 2 years ago in 2023, as the Carrollton Trojans secured a 54-14 victory as they advanced to the second round. In that matchup, the Trojans amassed a halftime lead of 41-14, an impressive feat they'll look to repeat on Friday. Also in that game, Juju Lewis, the quarterback at the time, he set the record for most passing touchdowns in a game. I believe it was 7 that he threw. Had a heck of a game. I unfortunately was not able to be there as I was in New York on a band trip. But I would have loved to see it. But obviously, this is not the same Harrison team. Harrison's a very well coached team. They have a very good quarterback. But with that being said, I don't know if there's really much that Harrison can do to win this game. I think this game, score-wise, is going to be pretty similar to the Douglas County game. I have Carrollton winning this one 52-24.
Wow.
I think we see 5 weeks of the Trojans scoring 50 or more points. I don't think there's much that secondary of Harrison or that defense of Harrison can do to stop the Carrollton offense. And the Carrollton defense might bend a little bit. They might let them score 2 or 3 times, but they're really not going to break here. Harrison loses by 28 points, and that's my final prediction as Carrollton moves on to the quarterfinals for the 10th straight year.
That's a bigger spread than I was expecting, Mason. All right, what about the Central Lions?
2 dominant signal callers are going up against one another. Last week it was J.R. Harris and Jace German. Now it's going to be junior quarterback J.R. Harris of the Central Lions and senior quarterback Connor Langford of the Cambridge Bears, as the Central Lions will square off against the Cambridge Bears on Friday at Roy Richards Memorial Stadium here in Carrollton. Central is currently enjoying a perfect season and obviously no doubt wants to keep that rolling. Central's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday as they came out on top against Tucker by a score of 33-21, a very resilient win for Central. Central's win was a true team effort with many players turning in solid performances, but perhaps the best among them was 3-star sophomore running back Jaces Walton, who rushed for 120 yards and a touchdown on only 7 carries. He also had a sack and a tackle on defense. His brother, four-star senior running back Jonas Walton, also helped out as he racked up 104 rushing yards. And they were just one part of a very punishing run game. The whole team had a 287 rushing yards. And again, this is now the seventh consecutive game that they've rushed for at least 158 yards as a team. So it's nothing new for the Lions. On the other side of the ball, a lot of credit has to go to that defensive Central and their 7 sacks. That dominant display was truly a team effort as 5 different players picked up one sack apiece. Senior linebacker Jarrell Long was another major factor. He picked up a sack and made 14 total tackles. For the other team, though, Cambridge, they narrowly escaped with a victory as the squad slid past Ola 24-21. That's 2 games straight that the Bears have won by exactly 3 points. Cambridge's win came from a few key players Central will need to keep an eye on. One of the most notable, though, was their 6'5" senior tight end Drew Hardwick, who picked up 123 receiving yards and a touchdown. Those 123 receiving yards gave him a new career high. Cambridge also got a significant boost from junior running back Brooks Malone, who ran away from the competition to the tune of 119 yards. Central obviously 11-0, Cambridge 9-2. Central did end up a good deal behind Cambridge last year in the second round. They lost 41-22. Thankfully for the Lions of Central, running back Tyler Blaylock, who rushed for 176 yards and a pair of scores, won't be suiting up for Cambridge this time since he graduated. Will that be enough to change the final result? We'll have to find out. But to be honest with you, this is one of the games of the week. There's another one on here that I'll get to later. But Central, this game for Central is one of the games that I could see going either way. I think this one's really going to be a coin flip. We'll just have to see which Central team decides to show up. There's a couple things in this game that I think make me go the way I go in terms of who I think is going to win. One of them is probably going to be that Central's offense is better than Cambridge's defense. I think that Cambridge's defense is not very good. Obviously, the second game that they've been in a close one. Now, obviously, Ola's a good team, and Cambridge has played good teams, but they let Kell rack up the points against them. They got smoked by Kell. And to be honest with you, Central's offense is very good. The Walton brothers, J.R. Harris, those 3 alone are very difficult to stop. They're very dynamic. They're hard to shut down. Defensively, I think it's going to be. I think the where this game is going to be won is how does Central's defense do against Cambridge's offense, and I think this is where the game will be won. If Central's defense can step up and play lights out, then obviously I think Central's going to run away with it here. But I could see this going either way. I do think that Central is a better team than Cambridge, just slightly. I do think it's going to be close. I mean, GPB has Central, I think, number 4th in 4A, Cambridge at number 8. I do think it will be closer than those rankings suggest it will be. I do have Central winning this one, though, 42-31, 11-point victory. Again, I would not be surprised if Cambridge's offense comes playing lights out and they win. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cambridge wins. They have Craig Dandridge, who's one of the best wide receivers in the state, going to Georgia. That's a good target that Connor Langford has to throw to. Central's going to have to shut him down. But Central, another thing, though, that I have to say is Central's a very resilient team. They've been a very resilient team all year long. They were resilient against Oxford. They were resilient against Jonesboro. They were resilient against Tucker. I think that's the only 3 games that have been close this season for them. But, I mean, they've been resilient. They have been a team where last year they lost some of those games. They've bent, but they have not broken. They did not lose those games. They were never out of it. They came back and won all of those games. So Central knows what it's like to win close games. Unfortunately, though, I think if you're down if you come out like you do against a Jonesboro or an Oxford or a Tucker, Cambridge is better than all 3 of those teams. And I don't know if you come out slow against Cambridge, I don't know if Cambridge will let you come back and win that game. So I do think it is going to depend on which Central team decides to show up. Obviously, you have the home field advantage. Didn't seem like it was much last year as they still lost at home. But Cambridge definitely has a chance to win this game. I am going to go with Central, though. I am more impressed with Central as a team as a whole than I am with Cambridge. And again, Central 42-31 is my final score prediction as they move on to the quarterfinals for the second time in 3 years.
And do we know what a Lanson Simmons career high is?
I'm not sure, but I do
Definitely
know,
more than 130 or 123 that he's facing on the other side as opponents for
I'm not
Cambridge.
sure. I'll have to look at that. But Lance Simmons in that Tucker game, I mean, he had key pass deflection, had an interception. I mean, he plays both sides of the ball, so he's not just a receiver, but he's definitely going to need to have a big game here against Cambridge.
I got it. Well, we're halfway through Mason's matchup, so we're going to just take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey, guys, we want to tell you about our new friends at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Carrollton, Georgia, US 27 South, the host of our recent state playoff kickoff show and Team Spirit Night. Stop in soon at your B-Dubs for Wing Tuesdays, Boneless Thursdays. Make sure that you download their app for more rewards and savings. If you're in the area, there's 3 convenient locations in Noonan, Douglasville, Hiram. So make sure you tell them that the guys at West Georgia Gridiron Podcast sent you. It is your community hangout for great food and great sports. All right, welcome back, everybody, from the break. We're going to move on now to Heard County Braves.
Heard County Braves, they're going to be taking on the Social Circle Redskins in Staples Stadium on Friday in Franklin. Heard County will come into the contest with an undefeated record on the line. Heard County's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday as they took their matchup with ease, bagging a 49-0 blowout victory over East Lawrence, sent them home back to East Dublin with a fat goose egg. And the result was nothing new for the Braves. They've now won 8 of their 11 games by 20 points or more. This season, junior quarterback Ethan Tisdale continued his habit of posting crazy stat lines. He rushed for 59 yards and a pair of scores on only 8 carries while also throwing for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns while completing 75% of his passes. Junior running back Darius Coleman was in the mix too. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Heard County's run defense was locked in. They held East Lawrence to 2.3 yards per carry. Senior defensive lineman Max Laster had a heroic effort on defense as he had 10 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss. Heard County's offense, on the other hand, averaged 6.2 yards per carry. It's the most they've had since the model game earlier this year. Heard County's defense also had 12 sacks as a team, which is crazy numbers. I mean, that's insane.
In one game, yeah.
Yeah. Max Lassiter, he led the effort there as well. He picked up 3.5 sacks by himself. Junior linebacker Justin Hansen is also on a roll when it comes to total tackles. He's now made 8 or more in each of the last 4 games he's played in. And then junior defensive back Amari Heath got in on the action too as he had a pick 6. On the other hand, you have a Social Circle team who slipped past Haralson County 34-33 after Haralson County failed to convert on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Social Circle's win came from a few key players Heard County is going to need to keep an eye on. One of the most notable was senior wide receiver Elliott Hamilton, who has picked up 87 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Another player making a difference was their junior quarterback Remy Farmer, threw for 179 yards, pair of touchdowns on only 13 passes. Heard County obviously 11-0. Unfinished the regular season undefeated for I think the first time since 2012. Social Circle, they're 7-4. Again, just like Bowden and Carrollton, this is another game where I don't really see anything that Social Circle can do to win this game. Heard County, they're the number 1 team in 1A Division I for a reason, and Heard County I think has a very comfortable win here. Maybe Social Circle gets a few on the board. I would not think that they'd get any more. I don't think they can even get to 3 touchdowns. I think they would be held less than that. I have Heard County winning this one, though, 45-17, a 28-point victory for the Braves as they cruise to the quarterfinals for the first time since their state championship season in 2018.
Well, I love it because we have at least 4 solid teams in the hunt for the championship, and that's Bowden, Carrollton, in Central, and then, of course, Heard County.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to Mount Zion.
2 dominant backs are going to be playing each other in this game. Junior running back Rashad Montgomery for Mount Zion, senior running back Devonis Lee for Early County, as the Mount Zion Eagles will venture away from home, long ways away from home, down there east of Dothan as they go to Blakely, Georgia, where they will take on the Early County Bobcats.
Make sure you eat before you get on the road. That's all I'm telling you.
They will go down to Blakely, Georgia to face off against the Early County Bobcats at Standerford Field down there. Mount Zion's defense this season's only allowed 14.2 points per game. Early County's offense will have their work cut out for them. Mount Zion's on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday where they came out on top against Trutland 20-7. Junior quarterback Knox Israel was nothing short of spectacular. He rushed for 74 yards, 3 touchdowns, which those 3 touchdowns gave him a new career high. Meanwhile, it was a proper cat fight, no pun intended, when Early County took on Greene County last Friday as the Bobcats took their game with ease, backing a 43-6 victory over the Tigers. The result was nothing new for the Bobcats, who have now won 7 games by 20 points or more so far this season. Mount Zion pushed their record up to 8-3 with the win, which was their 7th straight victory at home. The home victories came thanks in part to their defensive effort, having only surrendered 5.3 points on average over those games, likely going to be the last home game of the season for Mount Zion. On the other hand, Early County, their win also bumped their record up to 8-3. Friday's contest, again, like I just said, Rashad Montgomery, Devonnis Lee, 2 of the best running backs in 1A Division II, in my opinion, going to be going against each other. Mount Zion as a team averages 175.8 rushing yards per game. Early County, 297.8 rushing yards per game as a team. So this game's going to definitely be decided on the ground. This is another one, just like the Central game, that this could go either way. And I know that Early County comes in number 10 in 1A Division II, and a lot of people think that Mount Zion doesn't really have a shot here. Mount Zion could get a sneaky upset here. I like Mount Zion. I think that if Rashad Montgomery's healthy and he's playing, that definitely gives him another element. Knox Israel obviously has been playing great recently. You have Xavier Buckner, one of the best wide receivers in 1A Division II. So Mount Zion has all the tools to go down there and Blakely and get the win over Early County. But Early County is a good team nonetheless. And the thing that does scare me is Mount Zion has done awful on the road this season. They have played 4 road games. They've only won one of them. They won week 1 against Chattahoochee County. They beat them, I believe, 27-6. Since then, they've played 3 road games. They've lost every single one of them. They went on the road to Pike County and lost, which was their first loss of the season. They could have won that game. They did lose on the road to Bowden, which it's Bowden, so I understand. But then you also went on the road to Manchester and lost. And so when you have not done good on the road this season, you're going on the road again, season on the line against a top 10 team. It doesn't make me too confident in you. And again, I think Mount Zion could get a sneaky upset here, but I'm going to give Early County the win here, 34-14, a 20-point victory for the Early County Bobcats. I wish I could be more confident in Mount Zion on the road, but Mount Zion going to have to prove a lot in this game for me.
We got people throwing cowbells at the screens right now. So look, Mason, so it's not bold. I was going to say, is it too bold to say that we've got 5 teams in the hunt and you're picking this one to lose?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Mount Zion's necessarily in the hunt for state. Definitely not. I wouldn't be that confident in Mount Zion. I do think they can make it to the quarters with a win here over. With a win here over Early County, I do think they could do it. They could make it to the quarters. I do think they could beat Early County, but again, that's really the stat that's kind of bothered me, is that they have not been good on the road.
Who do they face next after Early County if they win?
It'll be either Screven County, who is doing really well, or Carrollton County.
Yeah.
I would think they'd want to play Carrollton County more, but again, one of them probably going to be on the road, could be at home. But if you play Screven County, that's tough. That's probably going to be a loss right there.
All right, we're going to wrap all this up with Villa Rica Wildcats.
The Villa Rica Wildcats will challenge the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets at the Jackets Nest there in Thomas County Stadium.
Big win.
Yeah, each of these teams will be fighting to keep a win streak alive. Villa Rica comes in on a 3-game win streak. Thomas County Central has not lost a game this season. Villa Rica is on a roll after a high-stakes playoff matchup last Friday where they went on the road to Newnan and they beat Northgate 24-14.
And that surprised you.
Yeah, that was a good win.
Can we get miracle number 2?
Well, we're comparing apples and oranges here. But a well-balanced attack led Thomas County Central over Woodstock in every quarter on their way to victory last Friday. Given that consistent dominance, it should come as no surprise that the Yellow Jackets blew the Wolverines out of the water with a 73-14 final score. The Yellow Jackets getting used to big wins. They've won 10 of their 11 games by 24 points or more this season. Thomas County Central's win came from a few key players Villa Rica is going to need to keep an eye on. One of the most notable was their 3-star senior running back and Wake Forest commit, Christian Lawrence, rushed for 130 yards and a score on only 10 carries. His rushing production has been exceptional, as that marked his 7th straight game with at least 114 rushing yards. Another player making a difference was their 3-star quarterback, Jalen Johnson, who threw for 179 yards and 3 touchdowns while completing 75% of his passes. Special teams was also a major factor for them. They racked up 19 points in total, and the biggest highlight from special teams, and maybe as perhaps the team as a whole, came courtesy of sophomore wide receiver DJ White, who ran a punt back for a touchdown. Another reason for the win was their imposing defense. They managed to get in the backfield for 6 sacks. The team can thank 2 different players for their defensive prowess. 3-star senior defensive end and California commit Cam Brooks, and then also junior defensive end Isaac Andrews. Both of those guys had 1.5 sacks apiece. Isaac Andrews also had 5 total tackles. 3.5 were for loss. Thomas County Central again 11-0. Villa Rica 6-5, and this is it's one of those things where it's just Villa Rica can't catch a break. I mean, they started off the year 0-3, then they won 3, so they were 3-3. Then they lost 2 to go down 3-5, and now they've won 3 straight to be 6-5, and in the second round of the playoffs. But they're going against a Thomas County Central team who's going after the scoring record. They're going after a state championship. GPB doesn't think there's a team in 5A better than Thomas County Central. I disagree with that personally. I think Langston Hughes is better than them. And I think there's probably some other ones that you could throw in there as well. I'm not going to get too far into that, though. But Thomas County Central, again, when they're trying purposefully to put up 70 points a game to get a scoring title, it's not looking good for Villa Rica. And for Villa Rica, you hate it because they've done so well at the end of the season. It's been a roller coaster of a season. But really, it sucks when you have to look at Villa Rica and go, well, the only thing you can do here, seniors go out there and have fun and go out there and try to slow the game down as much as possible and try to keep the score down as low as possible. I would love nothing more than for Villa Rica to go down to Thomasville and ruin Thomas County Central's year and just go down there and beat them in probably the biggest upset I've seen in my lifetime, and then come back up to Villa Rica and be in the quarterfinals for the first time in, I believe, 4 years. I would love nothing more than that. But let's be honest here. That's, again, like Bremen beating Buford. It's not going to happen. I mean, Thomas County Central, I have them getting the win here 56-10. I might be being a little generous there for Villa Rica. I don't know if they're only going to let them score 56. Again, Thomas County Central is trying to put up 70 a game. Just like Creekside, both of those teams trying to put up 70 points a game so they can get the Langston Hughes scoring title from a couple years ago. But I have Thomas County Central getting the win here 56-10, a 46-point victory. I think this is going to look very similar to when Toombs County played Temple last week. I think Villa Rica is going to get on the board maybe late in the game. But really, it's going to be all Thomas County Central. And you hate that for them, that you have to go all the way down there into the Tallahassee, Valdosta area just to lose and come back. But it happened to them last year. That first round, they went all the way to Brunswick and lost. So you just hate it for Villa Rica. I don't think that a loss here defines their season by any stretch of the imagination. But it's an unfortunate way to go. But for Villa Rica, it's just like I said. I don't know if this was on the podcast or in private, but just like I said, I don't know about who it was. I guess it was about Temple. This is where you got to look at the team and you got to go, this is where we're trying to build. We're trying to be the next Thomas County Central. We're trying to be the team that is going for the scoring title, and teams are scared to come all the way to Villa Rica and play us in the playoffs because they know they're going to go home with a 70-0 loss. That's what you're trying to build. It all starts with the feeder programs in the recreation departments and in the middle school, and it starts from there on. And you got to build a program that's going to get to that point where people are genuinely terrified of going to play you. And when they hear your name, they just go, yeah, that's a loss right there. So that's what you got to be building towards. Hopefully they can go down there, get some experience. Against seniors, this is potentially the last game you ever play in your life. So, again, just go down there and have fun and genuinely try. I mean, don't give up. Don't just go out there have already, your head's down low and in defeat. Go down there and for 48 minutes? Got there for 48 minutes and just fight. Just play, and leave it all out on the field because that's all you can do.
Well, that was a good observation that you made on Monday's show, by the way. That's where that came from. Follow and share us on all those social media pages and the groups where you follow high school sports. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and watch us on YouTube channel. Until Monday's show, our recap show, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy your games, and good luck to everyone.